All right.
Your constant cries,
Take the music down a bit.
cries of sorrow,
And we'll get started. So this is going to be pretty quick
cries of
in terms of how things
anguish,
go here. And what we're going to be doing is
cries of
we're going to
utter
be pretty much
despair.
simulating what Project Gingerbread was touted to do. So if you're not familiar with gingerbread, it was,
To my
presented as part of Firefly, where you could arrange
cherish
basic 3D objects in a scene and then be able to use that to influence the generative AI through a text prompt. So gingerbread hasn't come out, right? It hasn't been something that's been actually available to people who are using Firefly. However, with the 1 year anniversary of Adobe Firefly, we do now have a structural reference capability. And what we can do is we can actually use something like Substance 3D Stager to set something up for us structurally as a guide for the prompt. So that is what we're going to do today. And yeah, it should be pretty quick because it's a basic little thing. So what I'm going to do inside of Stager here, I've got a 800 by 600 pixel, so a 4:3 ratio, which is what I think I'm going to use for Firefly. And what I'm going to do is just set things up. So in this case, think of something structural, like a set of buildings, perhaps. So if I add a cube inside of Stager here, and I just start creating buildings just by using my gizmo here. Create like a cityscape. I can easily just duplicate this stuff, right? Let's make one that's a bit taller and wider here. We want some variation in our buildings, right? And what we're looking for here is just to create something that's sort of recognizable, you know? What actually is the transform on these? It's about 12. So I can just select all of these and say, let's do 12. Boom. Right. So how is everyone doing today? As I said, this is going to be very, very short because it's a very simple thing to do. But yes, we are going to emulate something that was said to be available inside of Project Gingerbread. Now we're 21. Whatever. Ugh. We're just gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna duplicate all of these. Whoop. Yeah, so this is gonna give us like a basic kind of view for what we're doing here. Select this one and just rotate it so it looks very different. Stager can be used for all sorts and you could do this inside of Dimension too, if you don't have access to Substance 3D Stager, because it is a separate subscription from Creative Cloud. You can always still use Adobe Dimension for this sort of thing, right? All right, so what I'm gonna do now, I've got my cityscape created. I'm gonna go to my render workspace. Here's a previous thing that I did for the Adobe Community Experts program. But what we're gonna do is set the export file name to city. We're gonna send that to my downloads folder as a ping. Should render out pretty quickly. And what we're just getting is we're just getting this image. This is gonna have depth information, structural information that ow, sitting on my ankle. Eek. That Firefly is gonna be able to use to, interpret that text prompt. So there we go. Render has finished and saved. We can see exactly what that looks like there. Let's actually, I can just get stager at this point. And what are we gonna say? What are we gonna start out with? Some kind of a text prompt. Let's say bleak, destroyed city skyline. At sunset. Just as a starter, we can play with it afterwards. Let's just generate this guy. And as I mentioned, I set my reference image for a structure at a 3:4 ratio, or 4:3 ratio rather, which is landscape here. Cool, so that looks pretty good, right? We've got these just initial things here inside of Firefly that have come up, but there's no real guidance aside from my prompt. So what I want to do, if we look down here, of course, we can use our structure reference, and I can upload an image, which is going to be my cityscape here. I'm going to upload that. It's going to warn us about uploading images. We have to use stuff that we own, right? And there it is. We can see it right there. It is set, and I've set that to 4:3, which matches the image, which is nice. And we're just going to regenerate our content here and see exactly what comes of it. For Firefly. So yeah, this is, if you're just joining in, cool. So this is, it's based on our image here. So we can see those clusters of buildings that we put in there. There's that one down in the, yeah, it guides the prompt. Very similar to how the text generation, right, guides the prompt earlier. This one's probably closest right here to what I've wanted, right? So we've got our 3 buildings here, we got the cluster in the back, and we have these 2 blocks, and we can see that represented right here. So maybe I want this more photographic rather than an art style. So let's go ahead and switch to photo. And then of course, this is a completely new UI that they've come up with for the 1-year anniversary here. We can crank the intensity up a little bit, and we can also increase the strength of our reference image so that it's much more closely bound to the 3D models that we've laid out. And then of course we've got our effects and color and tone and lighting and things like that. So I'm gonna say here, let's do some dramatic lighting. Color and tone. I mean, it's probably fine as it is. I've already got it set to, sunset. So that's gonna tell us quite a bit. Camera angle I'm not gonna worry about because we're using that reference image, right? So, let's go ahead and regenerate once again. And yeah, so I am basically getting around the fact that we do not have Substance 3D Stager. We do not have Project Gingerbread to work with right now, right? So you can see as I dialed that strength up for a reference image, this very, very closely matches what I have in my reference image here. Very closely. So this is a great way to go through and to really guide exactly what you want to see from the AI. Let's bleak destroyed city in flames. Skyline at sunset. Let's add some fire in here in the last 5 minutes. Yeah, I'm gonna jump off at the top of the hour here. So, like I said, it's a very quick little, oh, there we go. We got a little bit of fire there, right? This is like a desert. That's kind of interesting. This one's just, it's like a candle. I actually like what I did earlier better. So this is based on suggestions right here. You can toggle that on and off. Let's give one of these a try. Just to see how those suggestions work. And I am using image model 2 of Firefly up here with my reference image. Yeah, I still like my original better. So getting rid of In Flames. Let's regenerate. There we go. So it must have actually remembered what I did. But the important thing here, right, is this. That our reference image, bring this guy up here. Hello. There's our reference image, right? Super cool. We've got those 3 buildings right here. We've got this one, matches to that. It can really be used to sculpt and craft what you're doing here. I'm gonna save this down so I can upload it to Behance. I'm gonna save this to my favorites as well. I like a lot of these. This one's nice too, you know, with it's got a much more pronounced sunset. These are all very desolate and beautiful. And there we go. So, very quick stream as mentioned. Thanks everyone. I am gonna jump because I have another meeting to get to. So I just wanted to get this in because I had the idea to use Stager as this sort of like stand-in for Project Gingerbread in Firefly, and it works out really well. So try it out yourself. It's very, very useful, right? All right. See everyone later. Thank you. And pew. What?